A Rune, and Rasmus, though. Rasmus definitely gets a thumbs up for the I'm going to probably kill stuff, and it only going to cost one move department there. But, I mean, Rune is definitely an interesting pick here for this start. I mean, I do kind of like Rune on Amy's app, but, I mean, against Supremo burrito damage, things might get a little crazy, and the first kill has already been exchanged there. EKC taking first blood on the player kills there, getting some experience as well. Nice evade there from Y'all. Is going to keep this point alive. They're trying to get it to the bottom side. Here comes the big finish. Going to work out positive here for Hug, although Katsuna can't seem to manage to get the ball in here, though. Kind of a neutral reset here while EKC continues to hold this final barrier, and it's just the beginning, man. Once these awakenings come through, the damage might be disgusting.
Yeah, it's gonna scale a lot, and again, because you have such a volatile game start, this first set is gonna mean a lot, and you can see it already, both of the teams just fighting for it. Point almost going to the full minute there, as NXCD, though, with that Rune teleport, actually gets to strike past Yal and gets the first goal. And yeah, the Rune, it's an interesting pick, right? We can talk about it a little bit, because you do have a lot of damage in this game, you do have a lot of, like, worries, essentially, and Rune doesn't really play into that kind of ballpark, you know? He looks to play for something else. He's not doing what Finny just did to Katsuna there, but with Prime Time, you actually have a lot of opportunity to just be a menace in the control department, and if you're playing something like VODs in midfield, you don't really have a lot of solid control. You have a lot of damage output, and you're going to be playing for that damage output, but if it comes down to just pure core control, NXT is going to have a better time against Kainuk there, for certain. But again, doesn't matter if you're dead, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will see. And another interesting thing about the comps here is that it's just pretty clearly double midfield here for EKC. I mean, NXZD, our brawler champion right now, is hitting that Rune. A nice kill there from Katsuna is going to net a little bit of a power play here for EKC, although a lot of energy on the opposing team. Takes own barrier here, though. Kainub might be the cause of this end here. Okay, wow, and Katsuna gets blasted into the ball, trying to get it over to NXCD, but there is the kill from Hug, dude. Hungry Like Nephew, so good at getting those kill confirms. NXCD gonna try to solo this moment, but can't get their hands on the ball. Soren against the big finish. Wow, interesting way to score. The Rune Pillar does not hold. Soren cannot get there, and right down the middle, y'all will take credit for that point here. 1-1 to start things off.
And going into the next point as well, Hug does have a flip on Kainub, which they can either try to use to get the barrier confirmed pretty fast, or they can just try to get a KO again, because again, you can just damage jump. That is a valid strategy, because HP bars are gonna be frail. You can see that NXT almost taken out completely already, down to stagger, as Soren now needs to walk up a little bit to help with that control. Katsuna almost getting that barrier down with that ultimate, and they actually do get a KO on Bell, surprisingly enough. So now power play for EKC, as they're trying to get the barrier down, but they cannot find it. Point's still alive on both ends.
Yeah, I do think that there is an interesting caveat there about having Rune on the team, but it usually goes together with a character like Juliet or someone that can combo, hard combo right out of the banish and just make a true one shot. Something like Luna, of course, who was banned here though. Juliet, I think, is a really good stand-in for that, because she can just set up so easily because the banish target can't really move. But again, we have really Estelle and Rasmus here, though. Fair to take the Rasmus. Soren can definitely grab some kills on even in the goalie slot there. Wow, nice, dude. Actually has the power. Even maybe the Deadeye there, that full range with the size, might have made that ball go real fast. Soren sneaking that point in there and keeps the flip as well. Looking good for EKC here.
Really good for EKC, because Soren still does have a flip defensively as well if he doesn't need to use it. That's what just so far not finding any KOs, and the barrier does actually go down, so Hug has the opportunity to even this out pretty swiftly. The question is, are they going to be able to find it past all of this defense, and the flip has to come out. But still, Hug looking at a pretty good situation, I would say, to finish off this point and even out the current set.
Yeah, double hit there from the triple take. It's going to be lots of damage against EKC here. But they do find a way to get the ball around Bell's. NXED kind of miscalculating that moment there. It's going to have the ball roll into Bell's hands, and it's going to result in the end of that point. Just fell out of those Rune hands for just a second there. And you can see the kind of damage the opposing team can cause when that happens. 2-2 right now. It's still pretty tight. Again, this double midfield is pretty interesting. They can they could pretty easily pass around Finny, as she's going to be more or less spending the cooldowns to just do a whole lot of damage. And you can already see NXED taking a ton of damage, but they're trying to do it back to Bells successfully. They actually get Bells on out of there, though. EKC got this power play for this point. Can they end it?
They are looking to get this power play properly going, but Kitsuna needs to be careful. Bells is going to be back on the field now and has all of his abilities available as well. Both forwards now staggered on the side of EKC as Soren needs to walk up and try to find a way to maybe get some time stalled to get some of that HP back. And as it stands right now, Hug cannot find that conversion on the goal. Soren still holding it strong on the back. NXED still alive as well.
That was an interesting looking pillar there from the teleport. That's unfortunate. Katsuna was busy casting our piercing shot there. Unlucky that the ball would just go straight on through and also not get hit by it. Also, yeah, that rune pillar was a little buggy on my end. It was kind of tiny, but either way, that was probably just a visual bug here, though. Moving on to the Awakenings, VODs, one of the most deadly characters in this game, on this board, in this pitch here. It's going to be grabbing heavy impact, which is outrageously powerful for VODs in any position. That's a lot of cooldown, just gets even more damage on everything. And I mean, that could be a catastrophe right now for EKC, man.
I think it might just be. I'm not even sure if it's a could, because you get an adrenaline rush on Bells as well. You have Glass Cannon on Yal. Really great awakenings all around for the side of Hug. And this also puts EKC in a pretty difficult situation, because now with Kainoob having all these cooldowns, all that damage to be working with as well, that means if you don't have an evade ready on kickoff, you're likely just going to die. Because there's nothing stopping him from just using all of his abilities on you and just taking you out cleanly. Because now you have the cooldowns to actually have your abilities on kickoff, while also having the damage to just one-shot someone flat out.
Yeah, pretty easily too. Like you're saying, dude, these Awakening, all three of them for Hug was actually so powerful. We'll see what EKC can do about it. They're still kind of holding on, though, although NXED is going to find themselves in the grave for just about 14 seconds here, though. Katsuna trying to defend against Kainoob, but can't, as Yal is backing them up nicely here with that triple take. Moving on forward, sends up the big finish. Kainoob has the Supernova loaded on. Katsuna almost can make a play, but is completely staggered and at risk of dying. They have to play a little bit more defensively, and Soren finds a kill of their own. Kainoob loses the ball. Y'all missing a couple of strikes here, though, is going to give EKC enough time to move on forward and possibly set up a 2v2, maybe use a flip here from the team of Hug. There goes one of them. Soren going to play a little bit extra safe, spending a cooldown to make sure that ball does not go in that goal, and nicely get it past Kainoob once again. And EKC surviving that moment is kind of big, and in fact, could find themselves in an advantage if they get Bells out of here too.
They do need to find that. Bells also does have two evades to be working with. It's still pretty low. Kind of not giving up any kind of free space there either, though, to make sure that Soren can't properly get involved. The banish does go a bit wide there, as Bells almost taken out. Still not used that evade, holding it for the right time, as EKC are looking to get this goal in. And this is, they do find the KO crucially here, but this is kind of the difficulty of running a Rune Estelle, because you don't have a brawler to really send forward and just force it through the Finny. That means you need to kind of play around them, and that's a little bit difficult, because Kainoob is also playing an incredibly defensive line on this VODs when they are on the defense.
Yeah, Kainoob and Yal are looking kind of impenetrable right now, making a fortress by themselves here, though. Soren might be able to find use out of this flip. Y'all gonna keep that speed and send it directly up to Katsuna. They have a 2v2 situation here, though. The big finish goes out. The banish, again, a little bit wide. No flick from Bells possible, and no mix-up, and they do find a power play here. Hug in kind of an advantage. The flip from Soren is going to be spent here, though, into the hands of Bells. Is going to send it on up. Katsuna spending their flip defensively as well, just to stall as much time as possible. NXED finds himself back on the pitch. Katsuna fighting from the top side. NXED holding from the bottom side. Bells is kind of the main kill target here. Let's see if they can get him. Yeah, they do. Soren with that pendulum swing. Now again, a 2v2. The big finish comes out once again, blocking the bottom side, and it's Yal. Yal takes the goal. EKC, though, of course, getting that point for real. Big finish. I love to say it, and I hate to say it, but sometimes it's just a big disaster.
Yeah, that just happens with Finny, doesn't it? What also happens is VODs just absolutely taking your bloodline out because Kitsuna is just not allowed to play the game anymore. HP bar disappeared in a moment there, taken off the map cleanly now as well. Kind of does have a flip, probably gonna try to use that before being taken out, or they're greeting for it, making sure they have it for the next point. We'll see. The power play is still alive. Here's that brawler pressure that Bells can exert on Soren, just making sure that the defense gets so much more difficult. And in the end, great team play from Hug there, actually find their way through. Yal taking credit for that goal.
Yeah, Yal is playing real good there, moving up exactly when they need to. Soren was playing real good on that defense there, but you just run out of health sometimes, and you gotta back the heck up, or just try to avoid some damage, and that will just cause a kind of bit of an open spot there. Bells is going to successfully grab that barrier too, which is already kind of a big advantage. Kainu, all three of them actually have flip here though. Hug is completely charged up, although Bells once again taken off the board. Katsuna might be able to find something on the top side here with NXCD to back them up. Soren also is going to be moving up to midfield, maybe just a little bit here though, but kind of has to defend against this flip from Kainoob, so not feeling too confident to move too far up there, which is completely acceptable here. Katsuna once again just taking a ton of damage. This Rune Pillar might be enough. Okay, actually does get the resource out of Kainoob, but oh, they get the Katsuna out of EKC, and now the big power play from Hug could be, and it is the next goal for this one. Hug, 1 point away from being 2 sets up here though in this playoff.
And it's dangerous if they get another set here, because that means they're just going to get another snowball from draft that could potentially make it even worse when it comes to damage, as we're already seeing the game state right now, right? It's incredibly difficult for anyone to stay on the map, as NXCD taken out cleanly there by Yal with that triple take. The hook coming out from Soren, trying to disrupt Kainoob there. Kainoob also taking a lot of damage here, but can just fall back to take the orb to recover. Katsuna's down to stagger now and almost taken out. Barely missed there, and now actually Bells the target of the edge there, as there is a power play for EKC. Barrier down, barrier traded though. Open goals on both sides on 2v2.
Sorry, that Finny misdirect did so much knockback. Katsuna never stopped flying. Still, to this day, if you listen close enough, you can hear them flying away. But yeah, power play is going to be over here, though. A 3v3 is going to resume. NXCD gets hit by the triple take. Not really going to take all that much damage here, though. The bulk up is going to keep them alive for just a little bit longer. Katsuna tries to get a sneaky kill onto Yal, who's moving up so far with that flip, and they actually put on so much pressure and then reinforced from Kainoob. Nobody is surviving that amount of knockback in that goal zone from those flips, and man, hungry like Nephew, so desperately hungry to get this win away from EKC. And Finny, y'all already lose, going to be the first to grab an Awakening, and we already saw what happened the last draft. They were the first to grab.
Yeah, I mean, team. Hug coming in as the first seed, and they're showing it, right? They're doing a really good job. Obviously, very KO-based, and they're executing extremely well on it, and they get rewarded. They get a twin drive on Finny, really strong. They have some HP for VODs, which obviously not like the most crucial, but it's more important to take that away from NXCD to not give bulk up and peak performance. Overall, the drafts didn't really have like any kind of insane prio picks, other than the 1-2 punch and twin drives, which went even. So I feel like it could have been worse for EKC, for sure, but that draft still wasn't what they needed if they want to make like a huge momentum shift in this game.
I could agree with that. It is nice for NXCD to grab something like Timeless as well. Now they'll even have more chance to get some ball control, and Kainoob also getting some speed. That could have actually ended up being a priority pick, right? The peak performance giving you health and speed is quite good when it comes to everybody kind of knocking skulls here, though. Bells is also trying to hang on to this last little life that they have. A nice clear from Kainoob behind the back is going to be good enough to make sure that their barrier stays alive, although Bells finally does find themselves out of here. NXCD getting kind of comboed into that finish, but gonna keep themselves alive here, though. Soren's gonna move up against Yal, who has this flip here. Nice attempt at that 2v3, but it's gonna be foiled, and they're gonna keep a resource as well. But was that Bells again? Finds themselves out of here, though. Man, the power plays from EKC are happening, though.
They are happening, they're playing around them well, but again, they just can't find that finishing strike to actually get the goal, and now Bells is back on the field, 3v3, NXCD almost getting a nice strike in there, as a piercing shot from Katsuna almost takes out Kainoob, but still everyone alive and well, as a simple strike sometimes is just enough. Yal not in position to actually react to that appropriately. And NXT takes a point lead for EKC in this third set.
Yeah, nice positioning there from NXT, making sure that they are completely center stage on open goal, which is certainly the hardest for the opposing goalie to deal with. And we're going to start this next point off here, though. Soren tries to get Kainoob into that black hole there, but it's going to be no avail. Although Kainoob does take a ton of damage here, going to have to fall back and make a 2v3 for just a few seconds here. They're not stopping dealing damage to Kainoob. NXT has got blood in their eyes, and man, eventually they do end up finding hit. Nice power play here, and a little bit of energy bars are also showing up for EKC. If they can grab this barrier, this point will almost assuredly be theirs. Going to spend the first flip to try to get it, and it does end up grabbing that barrier. Man, NXT kind of felt like he won a quadra strike war there. Either way, EKC putting on enough pressure to get that next point nicely.
Yeah, and that's the pressure that you want to be keeping up and you want to be riding here as well, as NXT has a flip soon. Soren has one right now. So you do want to get this momentum, grab it. I think it's a bit difficult to keep momentum because you're just being taken out by B.O.S alone. Absolutely insane, that damage output from the side of Hungry Like Nephew, as they're now trying to take this barrier. Do find it. 3v1 power play still, and Soren just barely not able to reach it. The slowdown was enough, and Hug answers.
Yeah, honestly, good, solid attempt there from Soren. I think if they got one more strike, they probably would have been able to stall it there. But either way, the 1v3 is going to be quite difficult. Going to get a huge banish here onto B.O.S. Going to deal a ton of damage from just the rune. And we can see if Katsuna can get a finisher here. It would take B.O.S.'s flip as well, as Kainoob is going to be fighting NXT on the bottom side here, though. Soren moving up to midfield. Kainoob blasts their own barrier with that supernova. Gets also hooked there, though. Soren taking huge advantage of the situation. Y'all going to try to hold the bottom side while B.O.S maybe set to hold the top side. They do get the ball through past midfield. B.O.S has no health left to work with. Going to have to spend that flip, try to move away from the backside of the goal, but ends up having to use that resource there. This 2v3 might be enough to finish it, though. Katsuna going to regen past half as well. Can become unstaggered here. NXT cannot find the energy to move up here. It's going to be tough, although Soren going to hold this bottom lane by themselves in this 2v2. Get banished here, kind of bad. Y'all does survive, and man, this point, Soren honestly doing a great job of holding this barrier.
Yeah, it's doing a really good job, and also getting himself involved, right? Noticing, okay, we have a power play, let's create this 3v2, right, and play off of it. And at the time, it wasn't enough, but this time around with the power play again being found as they KO Yal there, it will be enough to take the set win for EKC, and they're going to be rewarded with keeping the game alive, and more importantly, a first pick on the S.A.D.B.O.I.S. Hotshots here, but so are a lot of other very fun awakenings.
Yeah, Katsuna first to grab their awakening here. There's a couple of good things. Hotshot, extra special, missile prop. We'll be seeing what they're looking for. Actually going to hold here and allow the extra special to fall onto B.O.S, who's probably pretty happy about that. I mean, extra evades, extra teleports, more damage is all you could ever hope for from Team Damage over here on the left. We do have Monumentalist Finny as well, and Bruin does end up getting the hot shot, which is probably what they wanted the entire time there. They're actually going to make out pretty nicely. Soren also gets specialized training, which is deadly on Amy's app. So I would say that the team that had won that set won out pretty well. I think that whole draft was pretty strong, so, you know, Hug is probably pretty happy with what they got as well.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of damage, and again, they got an awakening that helps V.O.D s a lot, which is fight or flight, because again, V.O.D s not incredibly mobile. She does have her secondary to just teleport instantly across the field, but if you don't have that available, you're just kind of walking, you know? So fight or flight, if you are core involved, it's going to help you quite a bit, and with that primary, you're going to involve yourself quite often. So pretty happy with the pickup, but I do think that Hotshot on NXT could be quite scary, because if EKC speeds up the pace of the game, I do feel like Hug has a difficult time keeping up, but yeah, I mean, they just get another KO, so...
That they do. Another KO certainly on the board here for Hug. They are having no problem here. The big finish is going to get foiled, though. Soren keeping that alive once again, doing such a good job in these like 2v1, 2v3 situations. They do finally get a kill, though. Katsuna does actually have a surprising amount of damage on this S.A.D.B.O.I. NXT. Going to at least force an interaction there, though, with Soren backing them up. Is going to make that ball move. Bottom side's going to be completely blocked off by these rune pillars. Bells does find themselves back on the board. Kainoob, nice position on the middle there to make sure that the barrier stays up. Moving in so fast. I mean, we can see that Kainoob just has a ton of speed, especially with that slick kicks going. And the ball still... Oh my god, this barrier still holds an NXZD and Soren on the bottom here, though. Finally, it does go down. But boy, did they get some resources out of there. Spent some time. But... the hardest part that EKC has been having, though, is really just getting these objectives and finishing it off. Like, we've seen a solid amount of power plays there from this team as well, but there's something about these barriers, there's something about the end of these points that's just not fully there.
That's Intaro Dash getting caught on the pillar there, very unfortunate. But yeah, that's very much the case, right? EKC, they're playing off of mistakes, essentially. Something like an S.A.D.B.O.I. in the rune, they are thriving whenever the goalie has a misclear, and they punish that almost immediately. Problem? Enemy goalie is Yao, you know? There's not going to be an insane amount of mistakes there that you can capitalize off of. You can force him into mistakes, but that's going to be a lot more difficult to do because, again, baseline, it's Yao, and secondly, his midfielder is Kainoob. Playing off of mistakes is gonna be a bit more difficult, so you need to find ways to force mistakes, like in this point, where they did really good with it.
Yeah, that is a fair point, you know, when you're like, dude, how hasn't the team scored? What's going on? Well, you know, their goalie could be Yao. The goalie could be pretty good, and that is understandable, although this barrier is gonna go be vapor... Okay, alright, so so as I say vaporized, that ace happens literally at the same time. That is such a VODs moment to just blow up the entire field. Now, that's the first time we've seen it like that, but, I mean, the potential has always been there. We've seen the damage from this team, and VODs is a menace when it comes to, especially on Amy's app, bro. There's nowhere to go. You got the hole in the middle, you are just crying for space.
It looked so beautiful as well, because someone died at the top, someone at the bottom, someone in the goal in. Like, it felt so symmetrical as well. But yeah, I mean, that is the danger of VODs on a map like this. And Hug, now with that point, put themselves 1 point away from taking the first game. And they do find another KO as well. Power play now in their favor, as it does get answered, actually. 2v2. As well, we're still technically 2v2 because Katsuna is coming up pretty soon. Never mind. A beautiful card trick from Yao will actually catch NXZD off guard there a bit, and the goal goes in. Hug takes game 1.
Bro, Kainoob had the nastiest combo there. It was like secondary behind. Oh, cool, this isn't gonna hit. Then primary hits Soren into the secondary, which sends them on off. I mean, that was... That was expertise right there from the entire team of Hungry Like Nephew. I mean, it was relatively close for the most part of the game, but man, Hug was just... the whole time they were just like, no, we... Trust me. It's fine. We got this. We're chilling. Lots of kills, man. We could see right here. 20 kills here sent from Hungry Like Nephew. And how many kills on the opposing team? I'm counting as fast as I possibly can. 21. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's right. Probably 21 kills. Not really sure. But either way, look at these. Man, big damage numbers. I mean, that game wasn't... I guess 22 minutes is fair. I mean, these guys were just... beating the crap out of each other. That's a typical Amy's app game for you guys. I mean... who knows what would have happened if Soren was not on that Rasmus and able to get kills like that. Man, Soren did such a good job defending, though. Like, you saw how many power plays were on the board, and Soren just kind of had a barrier for a lot of the time. It was just their ability to take the objectives was just ended up being limited. It possibly was because of, like, just what happens when you have double midfielder in that regard. And I mean, the opposing team is quite good, and everyone's staggered. So that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. But a really nice hype game to start our playoffs. That was good.
Yeah, absolutely insane. And I feel like going into this game too now, EKC kind of needs to come back with a statement, because even though they did get a set right, they showed themselves, they played well. I do feel like throughout the entire game, it was it felt Hug favored. So I feel like EKC needs to go into the second game, potentially have some kind of I don't know how strong on the mental games they are. I don't know the players on that level. But just have the reset and go into the next game completely fresh and say, you know what, game one that happened. It was an incredibly awkward map and awakening combination to be playing through, and just focus all that energy on taking this next game as much as they can, at least.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't like how do you put it? It's like this is not an RNG game, but like yeah, when you click start the game and then the awakenings are completely random, okay, because it's like EKC. I felt like we're doing a really good job with ball control. Like I felt like Kasuna was doing such a good job with a lot of their delayed strikes, and NXED was just there blocking what they needed to be. It was just like man, they were staggered the whole time. You know, Hug was just doing what they were supposed to be, which was killing the opponents. And if there's no opponents, it's really easy to win. So I feel like if we can get an RNG start, you know, that isn't really like, hey, Deadeye, hey, Amy's app, hey, I'm about to just die the entire time. I think they have a way better shot at out controlling Hungry Like Nephew here. And as we see our first starting awakenings, we do have Spark of Punching, which is I mean that's damage, but not a ton of damage. I wouldn't say that's like, you know, whatever. But and we have our Demolisher, which is solid. You know, we got some size. Size could mean ball control. It is possible.
Yeah, I feel like there's still gonna be a decent spread of damage still, because yes, Spark of Strength on its own doesn't really do that much, but it's more so the comparison, right? There's few characters that really enjoy taking size because their abilities just benefit from it, and every single character that's gonna get locked in this draft that doesn't necessarily need size is gonna go Spark, because you want that potential to scale, you want that potential to snowball with these awakenings. And looking at the draft so far has been panning out. You have a Finny and Luna, again, almost insta-bans from both sides. Amy instantly picked, VODs Estelle instantly picked. Like, none of these characters, maybe Amy, I guess, could go Demolitionist, but most likely all three of these are going to go Spark of Strength. So this game, again, has potential to go into that KO department, but I wouldn't fully expect it to. And actually, I really do like the Juno pickup here for EKC, because Juno does extremely well against non-lockdown goalies. And looking at the team comps that have been locked here, you have an Estelle and you have a VODs. Doesn't matter which one Yal is playing in net, Juno's going to be incredibly efficient into them.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Juno also has a lot of range, which is nice for Night Market. I understand the Finny ban. I think she is also quite good on Night Market too. And Luna, yeah, like we're saying, you know, get her out of here. Let's just have a fair game, right? But not really, because we're gonna play Vice anyway. As Hug is easily, like you're mentioning here, like locking that Vice, getting that Estelle. Man, they are enjoying this Vice. And Zentaro too, you know, Bells is gonna hit that Zentaro once again, no problem. Katsuda on the Juno is probably gonna be honestly the team here from EKC being Juno Brawler now. I feel like it's gonna be like, or is it Amy Brawler? Like, or wait, is it Aragoli? I've seen these things happen before. What their team comp is definitely a little bit of a cycle here through some of their players. I feel like anyone could be playing anyone here. We just saw NXED play Rune, who is usually, you know, punching people in the face with maybe like Juliet or something. But should be an interesting game, as they are. I mean, sometimes the double midfield can kind of out control a non-lockdown goalie. So we'll see it happen. I think Hungry Like Nephew is going to go for a pretty similar strat here, though. Grab that spark, punch the opponents with it, and if they die, that's pretty sick. And if not, well, they're probably staggered.
Yeah, most likely. And I'm expecting the Era to go in net, because it feel a bit weird to play the Era outfield with either of the other two characters. And this time around, the double midfield I do feel like is going to be a lot more effective, because Finny is a lot more defensively gifted than Estelle. Which to me I can see how it works a lot better, especially on a map like Night Market, where if you're controlling the core correctly, you can play around the enemy goalie a lot easier as well. Because again, on Amy's app, if you want to play around the enemy goalie, if you position a little bit wrong, you're just being taken out. And it is actually the Vice in net, which I guess is the more obvious one. But the same thing applies for Vice, right? Vice does not have incredible defense against double midfield, so I'm curious to see how EKC are going to play this out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Something to keep your eye on here is really going to be this era against the Zentaro for the most part. I feel like Zentaro is probably laughing when they have to deal with Era as the goalie there, though, because there's not a lot of defensive capabilities there. Era can kind of get around the map, especially with that really cool primary buff, getting a little bit faster, sometimes too fast, but then they nerfed that a little bit. So we're back to being pretty fast and still a great buff as the first kill is going to be coming through here from EKC. Hug is trying to hold on to this point. Oh, the ball being so small is actually not going to touch that wall and is going to go right on in there, though. The sneaky goal here from Soren. I mean, that's just what Era brings to the table, right? Makes the ball small, and now everyone doesn't know where it's going.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Soren also did go Pauldrons here as a beautiful KO from NXCD, unable to power play here. But yeah, Soren on the Pauldrons, which I actually don't dislike, right? Because you are going up against a lot of damage again, and as the goalie, if you're something like Era, you are a KO target. That's not something that you can be avoiding. So the Pauldrons is going to help you stay alive, and now together with the Demolitionists as well, you're just putting yourself in a position where as Era, you are always favored in Strike Wars.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you're saying, the size is going to be great. That primary makes you even bigger, too. I mean, nice kill there from NXDD. The Cyber Swipe is going to take that one pretty much no problem. But they have to get the ball around Kainoob and Yal here, though, who seem to have just enough cooldowns to stall this one out. 1 second left here, though, from Bells. They are back, ready to strike. Ball on up to Kainoob, and they clear that one out and give it right on over to Bells, who has kind of a center situation here, though. They get the flip out of Soren and continue to hold this possession, although the Juno Blobs in overtime are going to be pretty deadly, but now a forced strike war from Soren and Bells is going to be taken by Bells. 1-1 here.
1-1, and again, I said it last game, and I'm gonna say it again this game. This first set could potentially mean so much, because we are on a Spark start this time around. Which means if you can get that Spark stacking going early on the right players, it can be quite difficult to be dealing with. And both teams are definitely aware of that, looking to take this first set home, but they can't. As of right now, again, just damage being dumped. NXCD almost being taken out, and he doesn't really want to use his evades because he's so close to a flip, forced to use one now to even stay alive. And I'm sure Bells isn't going to let him just roam free for all too long there either.
Yeah, you know, another interesting thing is that this meta so far has been mostly Siphoning Wand. Like, we have seen some double Siphoning Wand matches. We were really thinking that Siphoning Wand was the true end-all be-all for the most part, and we do see one of them in this game, but NXCD deciding to take Pummelers is actually not taking any prisoners. This match is going to ensure that these kills are completely set and done, although the ball is going to fly at Mach 5000 due to y'all probably hitting that Supernova. I blinked, couldn't see it. Supernova, the ball is going to fly right past Soren. And that's going to be 2 points here for Hug.
Yeah, very fortunate angle for Yal as well, because that means they got the goal without Bells having to use his flip. So you now have that available to be playing with as NXCD sends out his own flip there, but cannot get a barrier off of it. Bells now looking pretty good here to take the first barrier off of Soren, but never mind Soren with a very solid defense. Both sides still having all of their barriers and almost a power play for the side of EKC.
There they go. Power play has been set. The goalie has been slain. Let's see if we can get a point here, though. Soren moving up all the way. Going to play a little bit of passing here with NXCD. They do end up passing around Bells quite nicely, though. Going to Bewitching Beam that ball. Trying to get it through the top side with that Maelstrom, but they can't seem to squeeze it on through. Down over to Katsuna, who also has a flip here. Those going to move up as far as they can. Possibly get this flip onto the barrier. Boy, is it so much easier to score when there is just no barriers. And by that, I mean you could flip for the last barrier and not feel too bad about it. But they do end up flipping, not getting the barrier, and hey, also getting killed in the process. So not a great situation there if you're named Katsuna, but we still do have a couple of flips here, though, from EKC, but they're probably going to end up spending it defensively, but I suppose that will be worth it as long as you survive this point and keep these barriers.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, the power play not finding a single barrier, and NXCD now finding a barrier of his own. They're open net now on the side of Hungry Like Nephew as it goes into the Blobo. Almost goes for a funny angle as well. Yal now taking a lot of damage here as NXCD is looking to finish him off. So Hug needs to be careful to not let this core go past the midfield as both barriers drop on the side of EKC. The flip comes out, Katsuna not there in time. And EKC, not EKC, sorry, Hug finding themselves the first set of this game.
That was definitely a little bit of like, I dropped all the spaghetti out of my pocket and I'm going to try to put it back in my pocket. Yeah, kind of hitting that center on, like, the center block there on Night Market is going to be kind of a death sentence. But no problem here, though. We still got a couple sets to work with. We're going to have Kainoob grabbing the bulk up here, though, getting some damage, getting some health, going to keep themselves alive against any kind of power. Although NXED with Pummelers is trying to kill people without really staggering them. Lots of knockback there from Amy. And man, Soren actually gets Monumentalist. I mean, not a lot of creation here at all, actually, for the side of Hug. So it's pretty much going to float on down to Soren, who's probably like, yes, that's all I wanted from this entire game. That is probably the most impactful awakening that I can see being exchanged here on that draft. So going to keep my eyes peeled here for this Monumentalist. I think Soren is definitely happy about that one.
Yeah, most definitely, especially because that gives you now 2 large ultimates that can just carry core upfield, the Amy ultimate and the Monumentalist era Tornado coming out as well, which means getting into an attacking position for EKC is going to be a bit easier, but it's still not going to be easy, right? Because you can see it right now, they're struggling to get it out of their own half because Kainoob and Bells are just positioning so well. Yal now also getting involved with that Supernova, not finding any damage from it, but again, it just puts pressure on them, and with pressure comes damage, and with damage comes kills, as Hog is now back into a power play situation, and I can see Al trying to get involved, not able to do so properly, and actually a negative power play for the side of Hog, and now a proper power play for EKC. We'll see if they can convert this.
Yep, flip from Soren gets the ball right on down there into the hands of NXED. Now Katsuna has it bottom side there. The piercing shot is going to clear the ball quite easily. Man, this team has a lot of ball control, but they do not have so much push that even VODs and S.A.D.B.O.I.S just defending could be enough here. Although Katsuna gets in there nicely with that bounce, it's going to be good enough to take this barrier as well. Bell's trying to make a play here with that IRS, but it's not going to work out just yet. Soren trying to get this ball away from Bells, but they do get it at a really good spot for them. Hug has a flip here, though, from Kainoob. Once again, they can't get it past. Lots of wobos, and the Firewall Sentry is going to hold that top side. Once again, though, we have Bells against Soren and Katsuna. Katsuna could move up here, though. Finally has a flip, spends it to try to get a kill on Y'all, but does not work out there either. Kainoob constantly playing defense here with Y'all. They're just trying to give the ball to Bells, and NXED finally finds a situation where they can block a pass with that glitch pop, and they get it nicely. Point over to EKC, and they need this next set.
They very much do, and they worked very hard for that point as well, as they do take the lead. But Katsuna and Soren a bit low on the evade bar. Now, Soren probably not going to be ability dumped here, because again, Pauldron's on the era. You're going to be staying alive quite a bit, but you actually don't need to ability dump, because Hug just took both barriers right there. And almost a double barrier for EKC, actually, but it didn't drop yet, as Yal drops that Supernova down as well to just clear the situation. Hog now back on the attack, trying to close out this point, but they can't get it past Katsuna's midfield right now, Juno being so oppressive in that position.
Yeah, Katsuna doing a great job of holding the midfield and just playing like a really good defense here for Soren, although now that defense has been basically vaporized here from Bells. Getting that flip kill is going to be quite nice. Y'all uses that flip, but when the ball is small, it actually goes a little bit slower here, though, so that flip was not nearly as impactful as they wanted it to be. Ball going to go right on past. We're going to hit that wall. Barrier is praying to the gods that they stay alive, but Soren not big enough, simply not big enough to get that ball, and no cooldowns left, and Kainoob getting credit for that kill, though. 1-1 for this set. EKC, don't lose hope here. You guys need some motivation. This is the playoffs. Keep yourselves together.
You do need to find these goals, and you need to find them soon, because again, Hog is just kind of riding the momentum, and NXED does a really good job at breaking it up there completely, as a KO is being found for EKC now. A flip coming up from Soren. They do want to get this barrier, they want to get this goal, they want to get the point lead, as Soren is walking up here as well on this arrow, uses the tornado, but the court does not get stuck on it. Bells now back on the field, it's 3v3 back in play. NXED almost getting the hit through there, but no, Yal holds on, and now Hug trying to get a counter push going.
Yeah, wow, they are scuffling so hard in this top lane here. Blabo is going to help hold this barrier as well. The 2v2 on the top side is going crazy. Giant Maelstrom is going to be way more consistent at holding the ball. Nice primary from Y'all. That power cord is actually going to hold the line, bro, keeping the point alive, and the barrier is finally taken from Kainoob. Now going to put the ball onto the bottom side here, though. Almost grabs a kill onto Katsuna. Kind of a free there, though. Y'all going to teleport on back. Holds that flip over time. It's going to make things a little bit awkward here with these blobs. The kill is going to be rough, though, but Hug could move up. Bells is looking a little staggered here, though, but a nice pass is going to let Kainoob grab the final barrier. Soren going to spend their final resource. It's going to be that flip. And, man, Kainoob, just knew where to go, man. Trusted Bells on the middle and just pushed onto the bottom. Kainoob, brain expanding every game.
Yeah, the plays from Hug were just lovely, and EKC are finding it incredibly hard to actually get past that final line of defense. So some approach has to be changed, something has to be found, because again, the power play is coming out for Hug, as they're one goal away from taking a second set to get a barrier, to get the flip in front of the goal as well. Kainoob does use the piercing shot, but it doesn't go through, as the strikes still find their way in, and the ultimate from S.A.D.B.O.I.S will confirm it. Kainoob finding themselves a second set and putting themselves one set away from just taking this first series 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Soren even has the pauldrons, but, I mean, Hug was like, we're gonna go kill Era. Yeah, here it goes. Boom. Era is completely vaporized instantly, so, you know, we try to take Powerhouse, and we just hope, but sometimes it does not work out. Although, Kainoob going to take one of the greatest kill awakenings there ever was, Adrenaline Rush, which is going to certainly entice you from spending those cooldowns onto the players. Juno, though, grabbing a 1-2 punch, which is going to be quite big. Oh, man, Vice gets heavy impact again, which is a little rough. It was kind of a trade there, though, right? EKC was like, okay, I mean, as long as we can get something good like this 1-2 punch, we'll let this Zentaro have Super Surge. Not sure if they could have denied it that way, but either way, they're saying this is what we got. NXED, I kind of like that he's got Twin Drive, though. I feel like he's been mostly going for this like combo gameplay and then just trying to get as many kills as possible that way, and I think like for the most part it has been working. So an extra cooldown could be exactly what they're looking for, as they're completely out of cooldowns right now. No health, no evades. They're just running in circles to try to live, and Kainoob is certainly not going to let that happen. And look how good at confirming kills this team is, man.
Yeah, the Adrenaline Rush coming through for Kainoob there as well, trying to get the second barrier, but Soren and Katsuna doing a really good job holding on to the point for now. The Tornado coming out and unfortunately actually interrupting the core there a little bit. And now Soren, the player that we thought wasn't really going to be at risk of being taken out, is also just getting overwhelmed now by Bells, down to a stagger. Needs to evade it to actually stay alive. A really good job with that, but the KO still found, and the flip finds its way up to Bells. Hug, one goal up in this third set.
Really rough spot there from Soren. I mean, had the perfect evade, got that strike, kept themselves alive, and it was just cooldowns upon cooldowns. 4 Bells there, had that final kill for them. Now we're going to start off at this next point here. Grabs that first barrier, EKC. Although Bells is going to fight onto the bottom side. Going to rush right to the top. Has that Super Surge. Can really cover a lot more options. NXED tries to get a nice glitch up to the top side there, though. Soren trying to mess with Bells here, though. Worked a couple times earlier, but not going to work out this time just yet, as damage is already being sent onto Soren, who has no evade here, though. They're going to have to be a little bit more careful if Bells decides to deal some damage to them. Although, as I say that, we see a lot of combo potential coming in from the side of EKC, and they do exchange kills, although one of the teams has Adrenaline Rush and one of them does not.
Adrenaline Rush doesn't matter if you find strikes like that, though. NXT with a beautiful interrupt gets the second barrier out. Now everyone back on the field, 3v3 again. NXT needs to be careful not to be taken out, and definitely falls down to that supernova now. Power play for the side of Hog. EKC, you were looking so good at the start of this point, and you're just finding your ways to actually get the barriers and this goal, but as of right now, again, Hog found their way back. Again, another KO, another power play, just extends itself. Juno with 1-2 punch doing the work and making it difficult, but nevertheless, the defense from Hog stays. Yal not making a mistake there. Soren back on the field, trying to get this core over to enemy side, and just another beautiful intercept from Kainoob. Those piercing shots are on point.
That was a really good intercept there. And it was tricky too, right? Because we had Soren like hit the ball up into Katsuna, who had 1-2 punch that also just struck the ball and just became red. And Kainoob was just kind of on the board there. So, all right, I'll just say Kainoob's pretty good at this game. Possibly at the last point here, though. EKC is going to be fighting for their life. Bells getting on in there with the Aya Rush. They do end up losing a barrier, though. One for each side. This Firewall Sentry is going to be nullified a little bit here, though. The Maelstrom kind of angled a little bit too much at the wall. Will carry the ball, but not into the barrier, and that's what they wanted. Bells has flip, y'all has flip. This is really close to the goal, and there you go, man. Hug taking the first. It's not best of 3, right? Imagine if it was best of 5 or something. Hugs takes the first game, guys, from EKC in our playoffs for our first round in an engaging set here. What a crazy one, Slav.
Yeah, Huck just played it so efficiently and so well throughout both of these games, right? They had their team comp set at enabling them to find KOs, and they do that over and over and over again. And they still, while playing so well for those KOs, they didn't give up any core control, even in games where I would say, or in this game specifically, where I would say they would probably have a harder time core controlling against what EKC is playing. It still felt like they had the control over the core most of the time. They still had the core always in places where they wanted it to. And that just makes it so difficult for EKC to play. You can see that as well this time around. EKC only able to find 2 goals across the entire game. Hug just being so dominant in this night market.
Yeah, no, I do agree with everything that you're saying. Hug is here for a reason. I mean, they all played their roles very well. I mean, Kainub just kind of the king of the midfield for the most part. But, I mean, the defense from Soren is, like, really, really good. It's just the situations that you're put in as, like, era goalie, right? Like, you have a lot of agency over, like, where the ball goes for the most part, but it's, like, dueling a character like Bells while Estelle is behind them, or a character like Zentaro while Estelle is behind them is just... It's a little too much for Era to handle sometimes, even with a little bit of extra speed. And, yeah, the ball is just going to kind of get past you sometimes. Like you're saying, only 2 points. Again, it was just kind of like really tough to break the walls here to get past the midfield from Kainub. And then like Kainub was just playing such a good second goalie here with y'all too when it came down to it. And that's just kind of how the team got here though. Hungry Like Nephew moving on here in our playoffs. Well deserved. EKC did a really good job there, though, but maybe they'll be able to bring their, maybe not A game, but their S game when it comes to the lower side of the bracket. Although we are going to go to just a little bit of a break here, though, as we load up our next gamers here. When we come back in a few minutes, we will have Bun Bun Bonanza against Showtime in our next round of playoffs. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.